Okay, hello and welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a few people filing in, and we're going to fire this thing up for those of you who showed up on time today because we've got a lot to cover. There are going to be a few people filing in, but don't worry about that because we're going to get this thing started. I've got lots to show you, and for those of you who stay all the way to the end, I have a special gift for you. My name is Elena Harder, and I'm here today to show you a simple 5-step process that you can use to find inner peace as a mom, no matter how big of a challenge your kids are, no matter how crazy your in-laws are, no matter how flabbergated the holiday season is. Using this process, you can find that inner peace again, and I'm here to walk you through it. My mission is to erase family abuse in our generation, and I support this change by training overwhelmed moms to be super moms, giving them the tools to keep their sanity alive and their relationships happy and sensual, to be playful with their children, and go from surviving to consciously thriving with their families. I know this 5-step process works because it's the exact same 5-step formula that I used to go from dating, hating, dumping, and getting back together with an alcoholic. Let's count it 6 times, and feeling hateful, angry, and resentful towards my child, being suicidal, aggressive, and mean, and feeling helpless to change anything in my life, to where I am now, which is dating an amazing conscious man, feeling bulletproof in my love for him and for myself and for my son, and unconditionally being able to support my son, traveling the world together and continuing to bust through my own glass ceilings and create the kind of business and life I really want for myself every single day. Yes, it will work for anyone, any income, any race, any religion, single parents, married parents, anyone, as long as you do the work it takes to make the change. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what that looks like during our time together today. So before we get started, let me just ask you a few questions. Do you ever feel overwhelmed with negative self-talk? Like you know better, but when it comes to dealing with your kids, you end up with the worst of yourself. You want to be a better mom, but you just have too much to do, and you know you should be doing self-care, but you can't seem to find the 10 minutes to do it, and you just feel like you're running on empty all the time. Do any of those seem familiar? Or do you hate that you feel resentful and angry towards your kids? Do you hate that they're on iPads all the times and that they don't listen to you? Or do you find yourself yelling at your kids to make them listen, but it still doesn't work? Do you feel like you're trying to change your family is a complete waste of time? And maybe it seems like you're the only one who actually seems to care. If any of these have been true for you, then you are in the right place. So let me just ask a couple more questions to make sure that we're going to make the best use of your time and the best use of my time so that I can really share this with the people who specifically it's been created for, to help you transform the experiences that you're having into something that you want to be experiencing. So I'm guessing that you might have a husband or you might be single, but if you're in relationship, you might have some resentment or some grumpy things or some ongoing things with your partner or your husband that aren't really working. It's likely that he's always working, and you wish that he'd make more time for you. But when he does, you kind of just sit there awkwardly. It's been a long time since you guys have had a hot date or anything resembling even a good date. And let's face it, I mean, radically, in all honesty, when's the last time that you made love in a way that took more than 10 minutes and really satisfied you? Now, you might say, oh, that's from before kids, but I'm going to tell you it's not just for before kids, and it's something that you can work towards, and something that utilizing this strategy will help you to come back to and find that juicy woman within you who's willing to show up to beautiful intimacy. So today I'm going to show you how to turn it around and fix all of those things with one simple body hack. Before we get into it fully, I just wanted to take a short moment and introduce myself. Some of you may know me from Facebook, but many of you have likely never met me before today. My name is Elena Harder, and like you, I struggled with mom guilt, shame, and anger. My journey with parenthood got off to a really rough start. You see, some people are what they call like natural parents. They love it. They're like, oh, baby love. They have all the support they need. They seem to adore the wiping of bums and sniffly noses and the joys of parenthood. You might have a friend like that, or you might pretend to be like that on the outside while screaming silently on the inside every day. I get it. That was me. I was the one who was like, I know what I'm supposed to look like, but inside everything was just disaster. Because I was not one of those natural parent people. At 13, I decided that children were evil, crazy, or maybe both, and definitely not something I wanted to do with my life. I struggled with depression. I had a traumatizing Me Too moment as a teen. I decided that I would have an abortion if I ever got pregnant. I hated my life. I drank a ton of beer and Jägermeister and dated a series of alcoholics until I was 23 and found myself something I had never imagined or wanted for myself ever in my life, which was pregnant. And what that meant for me was that at 24, I became a stressed, sleep-deprived caregiver for a small, screaming bundle of poop and unregulated emotion. That's what I felt parenthood was like. My teenage depression morphed into a monster of postpartum depression. And worse, I started to display bipolar behavior, making irrational and dangerous decisions like flying to Mexico with a 10-month-old baby and no support network and no money, and getting back together with the man I decided to ditch 2 weeks before we found out I was pregnant over and over and over again. I would never have chosen him as good father material. I liked him because he was hot, charismatic, inspired fear in the men around him, regularly got blind drunk and would tell me I was so hot over and over and over again, and got me free shots of Jägermeister. Not exactly a good decision in my life, but I thought I was done with him. And when I found out I was pregnant, everything changed. And within a few weeks, we were back together. And if you want to talk about believing that things can't change and being right, I lived that for 3 years as I spent the next 3 years breaking up and getting back together 6 times. From the third time, I knew I was stuck in a cycle, but I couldn't figure out how to bust out of it. I couldn't figure out how to change the things that were, chronically there and chronically showing up. And so I spent the better part of the next 7 years studying everything I could get my hands on to help me fix my mind from the abuse, my body from the sexual trauma, and my soul from the experience of unwillingly becoming a parent. Some of it worked and some of it didn't, but what worked I kept, and I kept going. And if you are watching this and you're wondering, like, should I keep going? Yes, keep going, because when you keep going, as long as you keep moving, as long as you keep trying, you will get there eventually. And I know that I remember being in so many places where I was like, I can't possibly, and finding the strength, finding more strength to be there, finding more strength to try again, finding more strength to do what needed to be done to keep going for my child. And eventually, what came together was a series of skills that I now teach in the Supermom Stress Buster course that got me out of not only the abusive situation, but also the stress and the overwhelm. Along the way, over those 7 years, I worked part-time as a web design freelancer and helped over 140 people launch their dream businesses while traveling to 16 countries and 4 continents with my son, attending my dream festival, A-Fest by Mindvalley in Costa Rica in 2015. I spent a summer teaching Joygasm at festivals. I lived in the spiritual mecca of Ubud, Bali for 8 months. And I took a 2-month holiday from my son, guilt-free, and just had a great time. Then we went on to homeschool in France, Spain, and Morocco, and healed all of my bipolar and depression symptoms. Wow, that was a big one. I helped start a hemp farm and met the conscious man of my dreams, and have finally realized my dream of having a father for my son and an amazing sex life. So none of this seemed possible from the mind of that woman who got pregnant. But through my dedication to these practices, to continuing on and finding a way through, all of this has happened and more that I don't want to bore you with, but was wonderful along the way. I'm here to tell you that if you have a dream for how you can live your life, if I can do it, you can do it. So let's dive into the Supermom Stress Buster and today's 1 key mindset that you need for a trigger-free holiday with your family and a trigger-free life with your family too. Let's all take a deep breath together. Yeah. You might not like this, you might not like what I'm about to say, but the nitty-gritty of that 1 key mindset that you need for a trigger-free life with your family is you need to permanently shift your perspective on getting triggered. And I know that maybe you were hoping for something radical, something that you'd never heard before, but if we face it, it's not another book you need to read. It's not another course you need to take. It's taking that conscious knowledge and applying it to your daily life in the moments that you really need it the most. Like your anger, when you're triggered at your children. We don't want to do that anymore. So let's get into it and how to deal with that. So the first thing is that shifting your perspective means that instead of thinking, my kids are on technology and not listening to what I say to them, they're trying to hurt me. What if instead of that, the pain that you feel is there to help you see what needs to change in your after-school routine? Can you get a sense of that? How does that second one feel in your body? Instead of them trying to hurt you, they're showing you what needs to change. Instead of your husband or your ex not supporting you, what if they are just trying to love you through the pain and trauma of their past that they haven't processed? And they're actually desperately asking for closeness and comfort and just doing it in ways that don't make sense to you. What if instead of complaining about your food or their homework, your kids are actually trying to ask for compassion, understanding, empathy, and love, but they don't know how to do that in kind ways yet because they maybe haven't had it role modeled to them by you because you didn't have it role modeled to you by your parents. Now, I want to take a pause here and just say, it's okay. Like, it's okay. All of the guilt, all of the shame, all of the fear, all of the worry, anything that you have felt in relation to your relationship with your kids or your relationship to your mom or your grandma and how you were raised and how you're raising your children, all of it is forgiven. All of it is perfect the way it is, although you may not feel it's perfect. It just is. Any moment other than this present moment is in the past. And so all we have of it is our thoughts and our feelings and our judgments around that. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you this quick technique that lets you actively move from I have judgments around this to I'm just present in the moment and what needs to be done in order for love to shine through this moment. Okay? So what if your problem wasn't really the person you have a problem with? Although there are likely situations that you need to change or where things need to be modified. What if your problem was that you were responding to your children or your partner or your family with frustration, anger, or overwhelm or shame as a result of those? What if the problem was that the way you responded caused you to feel shameful or guilty about how you were parenting, and that was the real problem? Are you starting to see this a little bit differently now? So what if the reason that you got triggered is because you've actually got poor energetic, mental, or physical boundaries with the people who are triggering you, and you're letting their emotional experience impact yours? Now, I want to tell you a quick story about my experience and when I really learned this, because I spent the first, let's say like 4 years of my son's life actively avoiding his crying. When he was born, the sound of his cry, as anybody who's been a new parent, was like the most shrieking, kind of horrific sound to my nervous system. It's like nails on a chalkboard. It made my whole system go, oh, please make it stop. And I couldn't handle it. It was so intense. And so I did everything I could do to just make him stop crying as quickly as possible, whether that was a boob in the mouth or a diaper ASAP or entertainment or whatever it was. I did my best to make sure that he had his needs met as soon as possible, purely because I couldn't handle the sound. I couldn't handle it. It was too much. And so it wasn't until he was about 4 years old and we were visiting a friend, and that Alex was having a temper tantrum over breakfast. I had made him one breakfast. We were in a new place visiting somebody, so I'd made him breakfast from what was available, and he didn't like it. So he wanted me to make him scrambled eggs. So I was super frustrated. I made him scrambled eggs. And he goes, oh, I didn't want scrambled eggs. I wanted fried eggs, Mom. And proceeds to like throw himself on the ground and start temper tantruming. Now, anybody who's had a child is like, this happens. This is just part of being a parent. It's part of being a parent, and you just kind of have to deal with it. But what was happening is I had been pushing my emotions away so much. I had been like, wow, this sound is so overwhelming. I can't feel that right now. Wow, he's stressed out. That makes me stressed out. I can't feel that right now. And in that moment, my friend said, well, what if him being upset didn't mean that you had to be okay. What if him being upset was okay for you to feel upset at the same time? And I went, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, you can be upset and I'll hold you, and he can be upset and I'll hold him. And I went, that is a novel concept for a single mom. Somebody else is going to be there and just hold space. Wow. So I let myself break down, and all of those walls, all of that holding myself together, all of that frustration just crumbled. It crumbled, and I fell on the ground too and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And eventually Alex stopped crying and I stopped crying. And then we got up and I was able to calmly say, I made you breakfast once. You can eat that. I made you breakfast a second time. You can eat that. And hold that boundary. Be like, I made you 2 breakfasts. That's enough. And, it was really surprising to me because what actually happened was he got up, he's 4 years old, and he went, Mom, why are you so upset? I said, I'm upset because I'm overwhelmed because I made you 2 breakfasts and nothing I do is good enough for you. He went, oh, well, I didn't like the way you cooked the eggs. And we were able to have a conversation about it after the emotion had moved out. We were able to have a conversation, and he was able to be like, wow, even though this isn't what I want to eat, I'm going to eat it because that's what's needed in the moment. And that's the kind of transformation that I'm talking about, and what we'll get into as we move through this, and how to hold space for yourself in that same way if there's nobody else around to support you in the moment. And we'll cover talking about how to get more support from other people in the Supermom Stress course. So let's think about it this way. We just told this story about people like Alex and I, and we know as mothers that if a newborn cries and needs food, we provide them food. But by the time they get to be 5, 7, 11, 15, 18, they still have needs, but the needs get more complex, and the layers of unmet needs start to compile, and we start to get structures of how to cope with our needs getting met. And one of those is tech use. One of those is iPad use. Has anybody here been on their phone when they felt lonely or sad or bored? Right. So you've done it, I've done it, and our kids are doing it too. And by the time people get to be 20, 35, 60, or 80, we think they should have figured out how to meet those needs themselves. But the painful truth is that most people are still emotionally or mentally stuck at 5, 7, or 11, trying to figure out why mom or dad was so mean or so neglectful to them. And if you've been on the consciousness journey for any length of time, you know what I mean when I talk about childhood wounds. But knowing it and actively living in the world, grateful for the people who trigger you, is a whole other thing. In my family, we have a joke that my parents are still together because both of them have avoidant conflict styles, which means when there's a problem, we don't talk about it, and we keep living life like everything's fine until it builds up to the point where it starts to explode. And then often we still didn't talk about it. We just learned how to internalize that resentment. Did anybody grow up in a family like that or have a family like that right now? It often happens in households where there was a lot of physical abuse in the generation before us. And so instead of being like, we're going to physically abuse our children to deal with our stress, sometimes that's how it comes out. But sometimes it comes out as, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to speak our needs. We're not going to do anything to shake the boat because we're scared of that physical violence on one level and we don't want to pass it on another level. But being quiet about it is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actively using the painful experiences with your family and friends that show up for you as fuel for your awakening fire, as a catapult into higher states of awareness, and as the reason to find the best parts of yourself and bring them out more fully right now. This is completely different than just ignoring it or a spiritual bypass. Oh, it's fine because I understand we're all one energy anyway. So not to make fun of us, but like a lot of people are doing that. So now, before we dig deep into the actual technique I'm going to teach you today, I want to make some important distinctions that I wish somebody would have made for me way back when I was dating an abusive alcoholic and was listening to a lot of attraction that said, we create our reality and therefore the people around you are creations of your consciousness, and therefore you need to change your consciousness in order to change those people. So I want to add the caveat of if somebody is actively abusing you physically, mentally, emotionally, or financially, or spiritually, if they are blaming you for their problems, won't listen to you at all, or are making you feel like everything is your fault, these are abusive behaviors. And if you're not already super tied into the relationship, it might make more sense for you to leave than to work on it. Like if you're a single mom and your new boyfriend yells at your kids, you do not need to put up with that shit. In fact, you shouldn't, because it's role modeling terrible masculine behavior to your children and passive acceptance of abuse from you. Heads up. This will likely result in your children later entering into abusive relationships, which is what happened to me. I don't mean to scare you, but I do need you to see it clearly. And if you are in a long-term relationship and some of those behaviors are there, that doesn't mean that you need to leave your relationship right away, but it does mean that you need to start addressing and acknowledging them. And if you are lucky and your partner's willing to work on those things with you, then that's wonderful. And if they're not, then you need to work on those things for yourself until you can see whether, your reflection outwards will cause it to shift and change. Sometimes that means being able to have the courage to have the difficult conversations, or to set those boundaries and be like, you can't talk to me like that, or you can't spend money like that, or you can't touch me like that, or I will no longer tolerate these behaviors. And actually to set those boundaries in a loving way, which is again something that we cover in the Supermom Stress Buster course. So we've done a lot of talking. You guys have been super patient. So let me introduce you to today's technique. I like to call it your 5 fantastic fingers. This is just one of the powerful techniques that I teach in the Supermom Stress Buster course, and it's going to blow your mind. First, has anyone ever told you to take a deep breath and calm down? Maybe you've done that with your kids. If you've ever tried it, it seems to work in the moment, but more often than not, within a few minutes or a second, the anger is right back there. And so the 5 fantastic fingers technique is really a way of taking that, let's take a breath, and in less than 30 seconds, really resetting your nervous system. So I'm going to walk you through it slowly, and we'll do it together a couple of times so that you can get a feeling for what this feels like in your nervous system. So the first thing is each of our fingers acts as a symbol. So if ever you forget and you're not sure what to do, I'm going to have a short video that you can get at the end that goes just through this technique instead of all the other stuff as part of the course. And even if you don't remember what it's all about, just remember 5 fingers, 5 breaths per finger. Just if you feel like you need to start it, just finish it. Even if you don't want to finish it, just finish it. Because when we start and finish something, that builds self-esteem, it builds self-confidence, it builds willpower, and it builds strength within ourselves and our heart that will do what we say we're going to do. And often that's something that moms really need to work on, because they say they want to make change and then they end up not making change, or they end up not sticking with what they had said they were going to do. So the first piece is, let's imagine a situation where you've come home from work and you're picking the kids up from school, and somebody's had a really rough day and they're taking it out on you, and you're just like, and normally the response would be to send your kids to have a timeout. But actually what you need is a mom timeout. What you need is 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to just defrag and be like, whoa, I just needed some space. I just need some space with nobody ragging on me. Now, we can't always take that. When our children are really young, we can't necessarily leave them away. If you're a single parent, leaving the room with young children just doesn't feel like a good thing to do. And so this is a way that you can take that moment and work it through fast and transform your stress into a good feeling. So the first piece is the pinky finger. So we're just going to take the pinky and the thumb and put them together. We're going to do 5 breaths here. And these first 5 breaths are called the breathe breaths. And they are just to bring your nervous system back into something resembling homeostasis, recognizing you're starting a ritual, recognizing that you're gonna shift, and recognizing that you have the power to change how you are and who you are and how it is that you're responding to the moment. Okay, so we do this breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Last one. Can you feel how your body's more oxygenated, how maybe you're feeling maybe even a little bit lightheaded, a little bit different than when we started? So that's the power of doing 5 breaths. Now that's just the beginning, because once we brought ourselves to calmness, as soon as we reflect back outwards, as soon as we open our eyes again and we see the kids still doing the same shit they were doing before, we're going to get all triggered and angry again. So what we need to do is rework the association with the moment, rework the brain pathways into a new format, into a new way where we are no longer stressed. So the next piece is we're going to make love. Now, you might think like, making love. That is part of the Joygasm course, which is a bonus add-on that I've got for the Supermom Stress Buster course. And I'm happy to talk to you guys about that when we get there. But for the moment, we're just going to talk about making love as in from our heart, making love with the moment, which involves, instead of judging, instead of looking from our judging mind or our stress mind or our fear mind, we're going to look at the outward situation and go, okay, what are some things that I can appreciate? What are some gratitude moments that I can have in this moment? What are some things that are going right in this moment? You know, I have a beautiful home. I have the money to pay for the things I need. I have beautiful children, even though they're stressing me out right now, that's fine. They're still really good looking, even when they're being shitheads, you know, it's fine. It's okay. You can forgive yourself for thinking those things, because we all think those things when they're being shitheads. Like, it's just the behavior, not the being, right? So this make love is to take 5 breaths, and with each breath choose and label one thing that you're like, that's going right, that's going right. Even if it's like, I like that painting, my fingernails look great, I'm alive and breathing, I'm alive and breathing right now, I'm taking care of myself by doing this. Whatever that is, we're cultivating an attitude of gratitude through our bodies and through ourselves, and we're going to take 5 breaths here and do that. So I invite you to look up from the screen wherever it is that you're watching and just practice this with me for 5 breaths. Again, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, which is a grounding breath, and coming into that space. So we're going to breathe in. Actively looking for things to appreciate, for things that are going right. Last one, make it count. Beautiful. So now we're going to move on to magnetize. So what we've done is we've already taken ourselves from a bunch of stress to an attitude of gratitude, and now we're going to use the power of that process that we've done so far to bring ourselves into what do we want instead? What do we want to magnetize? We're taking this moment being like, this was not right. We started with, this is not right. This is not what I want. What do you want? What do you want to have happen in this moment? Maybe your kids are on tech. Maybe they're watching screen. Maybe they're bickering. Maybe it's whatever they're doing. What do you want instead? You want them to be happy. You want them to be respecting you. You want them to be loving. You want them to be kind. You want them to be creative instead of consuming. You want them to be loving to each other. All of these things. And so after we've done this process, the brain is primed with breath, with oxygen, with connection to gratitude, to highly empower that space of, ooh, this is what I want, this is what I want. And not only that, but thinking about what you want will help shift your attitude from, this is a problem, to, I know that I have a vision for solutions. I know that I know what I want. I know what I want out of this space. I know that I want something different. And so I'm going to invite you to just take 5 breaths with me and think about, you know, in your family, in your life in general, what are the most important things for you that you want to magnetize, that you want to call towards you, that you want to bring in and have be really active and real things in your life. So again, we're going to take 5 breaths here. And just closing your eyes and thinking about, what are those things? What do you really, really want from this experience? Beautiful. So the second last finger is look inside. And I like to remember it like this. We're going to look inside. We're going to look inside of ourselves and do like a scan of our body and say, okay, from where I am now, is there any of that pain, that fear, that anger, that shame, that guilt, that trauma, the whatever it is that caused me to start this process, is there any of that left? Has it all been erased, or are there little niggling bits? And as we bring those things in, as we bring awareness to those things, we can take that magnetizing energy, we can take that make love energy, and just soothe and relax and calm any of those places. And you'll be able to tell really quickly within your body scan, especially if you're practiced at these kind of techniques, to be like, is there anything left? And that's it. It's just like, is there anything of that stress left? And if there is, and you have the time and the energy to do it, just go through the first 3 again. Go like, okay, I can see, there's still some tension in my shoulder, or there's still some like, oh, I feel repulsed in my gut, or whatever it is, and start again from the beginning. Breathe and make love and magnetize again, realizing that the work that you've already done has made that trigger that much smaller, and you're that much more able to handle whatever it is that's left, from a place of gratitude for yourself, for being a part of the process, and for your capacity to be in the experience and really allow yourself to do that, to take the time for yourself to do this processing. Okay, so we're going to look inside and do 5 breaths here. You don't have to do the silly hands. I'm just doing it because I think it's really funny. And I think that personal development could use a little bit more humor than what it's got. So we're going to look inside. If you're still feeling stressed, or if you want your kids to do it with you, this is a really great way of doing it with small children. And here we go. We've done our 5 breaths for look inside. You did it. Wonderful. And so now the only thing left to do, you've looked inside, there's nothing of that left. And now the only thing to do is to celebrate. So we've got our thumbs left, and we go like this. If there's other people around, or if you're doing it with somebody else, you can give them little high 5 kisses. But if there's nobody around, that doesn't mean you shouldn't still celebrate your personal triumph over your trigger and go, I love you, and do 5 little breaths here, or at least 5 little kisses, celebrating that you have done it, and that you are great, and that you have that ability. And what we do when we do this is we're rewarding ourselves for good behavior. We're rewarding and making fun and playful and joyful the act of transformation, so that by the time we finish, we literally have a really radical experience in our bodies of something that was really challenging in the past. So just to anchor this in, to help you really get it and learn it, what I'm going to get you to do is we're going to start with our thumbs, and we're going to go, I just want you to feel your body, feel how you feel right now, feel like the celebration of having done this process, feel that, and just tap those thumbs together a bunch. And what we're doing is we're literally like pumping the energy, feeling really good in our bodies, bringing that energy up. If you can breathe it in deeper, breathe it even bigger, double the energy that you're feeling in your body so that you can really feel connected to that energy. We're just going to create an anchor right here in our thumbs so that we can come back, and literally at any time we're feeling a little bit of stress, we can just go and tap our fingers together, because our bodies naturally want to feel good. Our bodies naturally want to feel alive and vibrant. So if we give them the choice of feeling stressed about something, or a really solid, coherent, good feeling experience, which we will literally build and make a bigger, stronger experience every single time that we do this practice, we're going to rewire those pathways even stronger. As we do this, we have the ability to return to that positive imprinting faster and faster and faster as we build those brain pathways stronger and stronger and stronger. And this is what I talk about when we talk about retraining the brain to be strong, to be vibrant, to be healthy, to be able to move from places of stress to places of bliss really quickly, so that we can take any of those triggers that happen and really shift them and move them into powerful places of enlightenment, where we can utilize that anger of trigger, crack it open, be like, wow, there's really actually only love here, and be that light embodiment of what it is that we want to be as conscious moms, which is just love and light pouring through for the enlightenment of our family and for all beings, right? So now that we've got this really positive trigger here and we've taken a moment, I'm going to invite you to think of a moment in your life that is maybe a little bit challenging. Not the biggest one, because that really is served better. It works with this technique for sure, but it's served better in a one-on-one practice where we're able to actually talk and I'm able to see what exactly is going on for you and where you're at in this. So I just want you to choose something that's little, something that maybe happened in the last week that you were like, oh, I'm irritated about that. And just take a minute and think about what that might be. I'm gonna have a little sip of water, nourish my body, and then I'll come back to you and we'll do an exercise around this. Oh my God, so good. Okay, so have you got that? If you haven't, and you're watching the recording, please just pause until you've got that memory, that slightly challenging memory. And then I'm gonna walk you through this process. So imagining that challenging memory, and we're going to step into that for the very last time. So stepping into it means instead of seeing it out in front of you, just stepping your body into it, and notice what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're sensing, what you're hearing. What are you aware of in that memory? Maybe it's the emotions that you're feeling, whatever it might be. Just notice that. And then we're going to take a deep breath in. And as we exhale, step out of that image and view it like it's on a movie screen or a postcard out in front of you. So now you're looking at yourself from third person. This is crucial in that first step as we pinch that first finger and we begin to breathe. So doing 5 breaths here. Okay, now switching to the next finger, noticing in that image, what are 5 things that are actually going right, whether it's in that image or whether it's within this moment where you are in your body. What are 5 things that are going right? We're going to count those off and breathe. Beautiful. And then switching over to the next finger, magnetizing. So what is it that you would really like to see happen? And imagining that happening instead of whatever it was that we started with. Imagine the shape of your memory morphs and changes so that you can now see what is new, what is a new reality for this situation. Let's take a deep breath. Wow, you're doing so great. So let's take a moment, switching to that next finger and just looking, scanning our bodies from head to toe, from toe to head. Is there anything that needs to shift and change? Is there anything that needs to move so that you can really embody this feeling now, so that you can be that woman who's doing the new magnetized behaviors that you're imagining? Let's breathe that in, looking inside. Beautiful. Now let's celebrate it. I'm here celebrating with you. You can thumb kiss the screen, and let's take 5 breaths here, just like holding that, like, wow, I did it. I made it all the way through. I feel so much better than when I started. I'm amazing. I've done it. Way to go. Good job. I'm going to keep going. And remembering to lock that, anchor that new good feeling in. Locking that new good feeling in so you can come back to this anchor anytime. Beautiful, beautiful. And sometimes it's helpful to shake it off. partway through, at the end, whatever. I'm sorry, I feel so sweaty. I am actually so sweaty, not I feel so sweaty, I am so sweaty. I turned the fan off because it makes this terrible squeaking sound, and I didn't want there to be squeaking in the background of the recording. So if I'm wiping my brow or if I'm unreasonably sweaty, like, please don't judge me. Please just understand that I wanted your audio quality to be great, and I was willing to sacrifice my personal experience for a moment in order to provide that to you. So thank you for your understanding. You may or may not have noticed, but I'm sure noticing. Oh goodness. So I want you to write in the comments or of the event and just let me know how did this land with you? How do you feel about this experience? Like, do you feel the transformation? Can you feel how you're more relaxed? Can you see that this would really? Can you see some places where this would really be helpful? And can you imagine how? Once you start doing this, once you make this a habit, once you go to your Christmas parties and be like, I freaking hate that. Wait, I don't want to feel hate. I'm gonna do my 10 breaths, and I can do it without the big breathing. I can just do quiet breaths while somebody's talking endlessly, and I don't really care what they're listening about anyway. I can just be doing some processing on the inside. So that I can come back to presence and be able to listen and hear these people that I really love because they're my family, because they're my coworkers or whoever, and find that love and find that connection to self first so that we can really be present for other people. This is just one of the techniques that I teach through the Supermom Stress Buster course. And if you're still here with me and you've gotten value out of this lesson today, you're going to love what I have to share with you next, because I've literally designed it just for you. Couples and individuals have paid me upwards of $1,500 to learn these techniques from me one-on-one, but I know that as a mom, getting to an appointment and getting a babysitter and finding time for yourself is so hard. And I'm so passionate about erasing abuse in our generation that I've created this stellar home learning package so that you can learn everything you need to know and transform your stress into bliss from the comfort of your own home without having to fly to see me or pay a premium price for working in person with me. See, we all have inner peace wired into our physiology, our bodies, and our souls. As far as I'm concerned, it's our human birthright and our natural way of being. It's just that we happen to have layered all of these triggers and all of this shit on top of us from, parents and grandparents who just didn't know better. So learning to be masterful about being in control of your emotions is even more within your reach now that you've taken this class. And there is support for you here to take this and integrate it deeply into your daily life so that you can be a walking example of what it is to be a conscious mother in the world. And we need more of people like that. I want you to take this knowledge and awaken your whole family by your shining, peaceful example. That's something that you can't do if your emotions are still all over the place and you're being reactive to the reactive behaviors of your children. So that's why I've created this special offer just for those of you who are here today. Not only will you get the home study guide to help you integrate this practice, but you'll get the full directory of brain retraining tracks, which I've been using to transform my life and my client's life for over a year and a half now, and lifetime access to the instruction videos so that you can watch and practice anytime you want. If you get derailed, you can come back to it later. You don't need to worry about rushing to finish it. I want this to be a relaxing process for you, and I want you to really integrate this. I don't want this to be another piece of information that you watched. It's really about practice. It's really about practical things. And I designed all of these exercises when I was a super stressed out mom working from home, not homeschooling yet because my son was too young, but like full-time parenting a 3-year-old and full-time working from home. And I was like, I don't have time to go to an hour-long yoga class to calm my body down. I need to calm my body down right now so that I don't lose my shit and like strangle somebody. Like that's where I was at when I created these. And it was really, I created all of them from a place of like, let's keep it as short as possible and as punchy as possible, not in a violent way, but as like strength and like passion and vitality, so that it would really be impactful for myself because I needed it. And it's been really amazing to see how it's been impactful for other people as they practice and integrate these things. So I'm so passionate about seeing you succeed and making this change. I'm also going to include a strategy call with me so that we can make you a personalized brain training track just for you that includes just the things that you need to hear and actually includes your own voice, which is super powerful, affirming and saying what it is that you most need to hear yourself say to make yourself understand that you have your own support. And you'll get this as a bonus when you sign up for the Supermom Stress Buster course. I've mentioned brain retraining tracks, so I just want to go over a little bit what that is. So brain retraining tracks are 5 to 20-minute tracks that I've created that are video and audio, where I've layered all the things that work best to reprogram the subconscious, including layers of isochronic tones, which are pulsing sounds similar to binaural beats. There we go. Similar to binaural beats, but can be played into an ambient space and have the same effect. So they basically bring our brain waves through entrainment into a harmonic space. So instead of being an alpha, beta stress brainwaves, we bring the brain down into a theta brainwave, which is a relaxation, meditation, and reprogramming brainwave. So that's happening automatically as soon as you start listening to it. Then I've layered in Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, which is a really powerful Hawaiian tradition. Emotional freedom technique, which is tapping, if anybody's familiar with that. And the languaging around that, as well as neuro-linguistic programming questions and statements that will support your subconscious to be open and available to the information that you're receiving, making it even easier for you to make the changes that you most want to make and that you need to make in order to really help your family heal. So you might be thinking, I need this, and this class can clearly help me, but how much is this going to cost me? I know that I've attended so many of these webinars, and I'm just like, at the end, I'm always like, this is great, but like, can I actually afford it? So I'm so glad that we get to talk about that and that you've asked. If I were to sell it individually, the Brain Training Library alone is $499. The Supermom Stress Buster Home Study course retails for $997. Private access to me for coaching and questions at any time is valued at $1,500. And all of these together have a retail value of over $2,996. Because you're still here and you've dedicated the time so far to watching this, I know that you have the dedication and desire to get the results that you want and that you're a good fit for this course, or you wouldn't still be here. I can help you get where you want to go, and you just need to say yes to yourself. I know that this will benefit you immensely, and I want to make it super easy for you to say yes to yourself today, which is why I'm adding in a bonus just for people who are here watching this live with me, which is a strategy session and a personalized brain training track created just for you to support your subconscious in integrating your plan of action from that strategy session. This is a value of $699, making the total value of the program you're purchasing today $3,695. But like I said, I want to make this super available to people. So I'm offering you everything you need to identify what are the things that trigger you the most, to stop sounding like your mom, to get way better sleep, to start creating small daily changes so that you know that you can make the changes on the really important things, so that you can learn to surrender to the process, so that you can be super mom calm when shit goes wrong, even when you're the one doing everything right, and completely master your emotions and overwhelm, so that you can live as the joyful, conscious mama that you've always wanted to be and that you've known yourself to be for just $977 Canadian. That's right. So if you're in America or if you're in Australia, you're going to be paying, whatever the conversion rate is today from $997 Canadian, which is a great deal for Americans and a pretty good deal for Aussies. And thank God it's not in US for all you Canadians, because I know how much I hate when people charge in US dollars. And I'm like, yeah, I want that. I was like, oh, and it's an extra, but we didn't want to do that. So I just put it in Canadian because I'm Canadian and it's great. And we just want it to be easy and feel really good for everybody. So you might be wondering, like, what exactly are you going to get? So you're going to get over 3 hours of step-by-step video content in easy-to-digest weekly modules that you can watch anytime you want from the comfort of your home. You'll also get weekly reminder emails to keep you on track, so that if you fall off the boat, I'll be right there being like, here's the next piece, here's the next piece. And dozens of additional 5 to 20-minute Joygasmic brain training videos. I'm also going to throw in the Joygasm 101 course, because it's an amazing course and it'll really help you superpower your 5 fantastic fingers practice. But you don't have to worry about doing that right away, because you have lifetime access to all of the courses when you buy this course right now. So you'll also get direct access to me to ask any questions that you may have through our Facebook community of moms who are also on a path to be conscious supermoms. And like I said, the bonus, a private strategy session with me and your own customized brain training track to help support you to create the changes that you really want to make on a subconscious level. Because I know that you've tried to make these changes on a conscious level. You've probably read the book, you've had the experience, but unless you've made the changes on the subconscious level, you're going to keep ending up in the same experiences over and over and over again. Now, if you're saying to yourself, this is right for me and I really want to do this, but my cash is tight right now, I want to let you know that you can totally split it up over 3 monthly payments of $333. That's totally fine. That was me once upon a moon. And I totally get that. There's no shame in that. It's just where you're at and what you want to do. And I'm totally happy to offer that. I want you to know that it's okay to feel completely safe in saying yes to yourself, to supporting yourself by saying yes to this experience. And I need you to know that if you aren't happy with the course, like, your happiness is so important to me. That's the whole reason I'm teaching this course. And so if you're not happy with the course experience in the first week, I'll refund you 100% of your course enrollment. And I'm happy to hear what was not working for you, and I'm going to make changes to make it better for people in the future. So by now, I hope it's clear to you that you'll be fully supported to make the change that you want through this course. For those of you who have watched all the way to the end, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're ready to join up or are considering it, I've got a gift video for you. So just head over to Elena Harder. It's ElenaHarder. That's 2 R's at the end, .com/brain, BRAIN, to download your free brain training track video and audio. And for those of you who are ready to make the big change in how you'll show up as a mother, go ahead and click the Get Started Now button below the video, and we'll get you registered for the course. The course will be delivered through our online platform, Teachable, which is really great. You'll get your modules via email, and there are a couple of bonus modules at the beginning that you can access right away. Our next course will be starting really soon, and I don't want you to miss out on getting your spot there and making your transformation in the next 6 weeks. There's also some questions and answers, like frequently asked questions, that I may not have covered. Actually, let's just go over those right now. Boom. Let's just go over those right now. Give me 1 second. I had this somewhere. Oh, it's on the brain page. Duh. LenaHarder.brain. There we go. So let's go over some of those frequently asked questions I often get from people. So is this course just for moms? And it's like, this course is definitely geared towards moms. If you've watched all the way to the end, you're either a mom or a single dad, probably. But if you don't have kids, you can still do this work and have it impact your family in a positive way. The Iroquois philosophy of 7 generations of healing says that our wounds impact our family 7 generations forward and 7 generations backwards, meaning that when we heal, often things miraculously change for our parents, our children, or our grandchildren. So if you're part of a family, you can benefit from taking this course. Even if you are estranged from your family, you can benefit from taking this course, because the things that we teach are really essential consciousness raising activities, are essential to living a happy and joyful life, regardless of whether you have mom stress or work stress or stressful partner stress or aloneness stress or whatever it is. You'll benefit from this. I've just geared it towards families because I feel like helping moms is something that is really, really needed, and it reflects my own personal journey. So if you don't have kids yet, but you'd like to have kids, or you don't have kids yet, but your relationship with your family could really use some work, please consider yourself welcome here. I wish that all parents would do this kind of work before they conceive babies. And if you feel called to this work, you're definitely welcome, and this is for you. If your kids are, what if your kids are grown up? If your kids are grown, you can still do this work and have it impact your family. Just because your children are grown does not mean that you aren't still in relationship with them. And again, that 7 generations of healing can be offered in either direction, up or down, sort of that lifeline, and really create a new experience for you in relating with your adult children. How much work or time will this be? So weekly, there are 30 minutes of video content and a 30-minute reflection exercise, which you can easily put into a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, or substitute for your late night Facebook binge. No judgment. I've done it way more than I'd like to admit. You'll also have a daily 12-minute subconscious retraining, which you can squeeze into any moment that you can find, or play over speaker while you load the dishwasher, iron, sweep, or sit in the car waiting for your kids after school. You get the idea. They're designed to be available to pick up and put down. Some people just play them in the background all the time. That was me when I first started designing them, and some people like to make dedicated time that's just for them to listen to it. Or if you need a mommy timeout, that's a really great way to spend that time. Be like, I'm listening to that shit, I'm gonna go listen to one of these tracks, and then be able to come back from a really calm place for your kids. In week 2 onwards, there's also a 3 to 5 minute nightly routine, which will help you with getting better quality sleep. So you can swap that 5 minutes of time that you do with your nightly routine for however long you were previously spending lying awake thinking about what you need to do tomorrow, and that giant list of things that never stops ending of things you need to do. We find that when people do this course, the quality of their sleep really improves, and their energy levels improve, and they're able to really come to the world from a different perspective. And so there's more time to be able to do the things that you really want to do. The most important thing to remember is that you're already making time to worry and stress and feel guilty. So why not swap that time for something constructive and utilize this course to give yourself a new set of skills that will allow you to live a more happy and joyful life. And the last question would be like, what if I can't finish it in 6 weeks? You have lifetime access to the course, which means as long as it's online, you have access to the materials. You can go through the course again. You can take more than 6 weeks to do it. You can forget about it and come back to it 6 months later. Whatever you need to do to support yourself to do this with the least stress possible, that's what I'll support you to do. So I highly encourage you to do that and to make the best of this opportunity. Your partner, your children, and most importantly, you will thank you for making the decision to be a super conscious mom. Thank you so much for your time here today. I really look forward to seeing you in the class, and I have so much love for you, so much respect. Wherever you're at in your journey, you have the capacity to make a change, and to make a change for the better every single day. Small increments of improvements will help you be the mom that you want to be a year from now, and I believe in you. Have a beautiful day.